In Haiti today, running simple errands, even in broad daylight, can be dangerous. 13-year-old Katiana was going to the market to get bread for her mother.
As I got closer to the bakery, I saw a man sitting and looking suspiciously at me.
As Katiana passed him, he suddenly grabbed her.
He put one hand on my neck and the other one over my mouth and threw me on the ground. He asked me to pull down my panties.
The trauma of the day before is evident. Her damaged eye, her bandaged head. Katiana tells a social worker how she tried to fight off her attacker.
He took the rock and hit me a couple of times with it. Then he started to strangle me.
Then, miraculously, a passer-by intervened. Not only was the attacker caught, but Katiana managed to escape. Many others don't. Here in Haiti, violence against women and girls has been endemic for decades. But since the 12th of January earthquake flattened the island, leaving tragedy and devastation of an unprecedented scale, the plight of women and girls has only got worse. An estimated 1.5 million people left homeless by the quake are living on the streets, mostly in flimsy, makeshift shelters. There is no protection from the elements or from intruders. Without homes and security, so many girls and women who survived the disaster are now even more at risk of violence.
Many of them are victims of rape or harassment or of certain injustices.
Americ Louis is Haiti's Secretary of Public Security.
Women today are in the camps where there is a huge concentration of people, and this has its consequences.
One of the consequences is that girls and women again find themselves the targets of violence as men take out their frustration at the cramped, squalid living conditions on them. And he says protecting them is now a near impossible task for the Haitian National Police Force, which itself lost hundreds of officers and many police stations in the earthquake's devastation.
The justice system and the police and all the institutions were victims of what happened.
Making the situation even more tragic, many of the victims of sexual violence are very young. A large number are under 18, and even younger victims are all too common. Santania is just 13 months old. 2 months after the earthquake, her mother Elias left her in their makeshift shelter with her 8-year-old sister while she went to fetch water. On the way back, Elias saw her boyfriend leaving her tent.
But when I got home, I saw what he had done.
She found her baby, Santania, on the floor of their tent, having been sexually assaulted by her boyfriend. Santania spent a month in hospital with serious internal injuries, and 6 weeks after the attack, Elias still grapples to comprehend why it happened.
Even if I had done something wrong to him, he could act against me, but not against the child. The person does not deserve to be kept alive.
To try to prevent cases like Katiana's and Santania's, security inside some camps is being improved. It's past midnight at Champ de Mars, a sprawling camp in the center of Port-au-Prince. Here, an estimated 40,000 people live back-to-back in flimsy shelters and tents. Tensions are high amongst residents. But while they sleep with no doors to keep out intruders, others are keeping guard. Members of the now depleted Haitian police force have teamed up with the United Nations police, led by Captain Molina, to patrol the camp at night. They check on these sleeping women. Then they look in on the occupants of this car parked nearby. It turns out to be a couple and their sick child. Thanks to the presence of the night patrol, incidents of gender-based violence are now rare, at least in this camp. But the United Nations patrols are not able to cover every camp, so elsewhere the risks are still high. Warning camp residents of the danger women are increasingly facing is one of the priorities. So Haitian women's organization UNIFEM, which is supported by the United Nations Development Fund for Women, UNIFEM, dispatches teams of volunteers to the temporary camps and sites scattered across the city. One such volunteer is schoolteacher Hermione César-Médard, who lives with her family in a tent alongside the rubble of her old home.
I've got 3 daughters, and if something were to happen to any of them, I would be completely devastated. So that's why I became a volunteer.
In this camp in Canapé Vert, one of the hardest hit areas in the earthquake, she warns women not to leave their daughters alone.
I consider these girls alone the most vulnerable. There are many bad people. You don't know who's going to do what, but you try to prevent anything happening.
The team makes sure camp organizers also take steps to protect women from attack. Kathy Mangones of UNIFEM in Haiti explains.
This would include ensuring that women's bathing facilities enable them to have privacy and dignity, provision of lighting in key and dangerous areas, as well as an increased police presence around and within the site.
But in the site where Eliez lives with her daughters, there are no police patrols. Living with little or no protection, Eliez knows only too well that both she and her daughters are at risk.
I'm living in this place alone with my children. There is no one helping me. I pray to God with my heart. I pray to God to change the situation.
But the scale of the Haitian disaster is so huge and so much still needs to be rebuilt that many Haitian women fear that it will be a long time before it is a safe place for them and their daughters.